The morning air smells like jet fuel and ambition. Tarmac heat shimmers in waves across the private aviation terminal, where sleek aircraft wait like expensive toys. Naomi Sterling steps from her black sedan, ivory blazer crisp against her deep brown skin, gold watch catching sunlight. She's 38 and exhausted. The kind of tired that comes from building empires while the world watches, waiting for you to fail. Her heels click against concrete as she approaches the Gulfstream G650. Charter confirmation glows on her phone screen. $47,000 paid in full 3 days ago. The boarding stairs gleam in the morning light. A man blocks her path. Marcus Webb is 54, silver-haired, with the weathered face of someone who's spent decades above the clouds. His pilot's uniform is immaculate. His eyes are not. They scan Naomi from head to toe, lingering with barely concealed contempt. "This aircraft is reserved," he says. His voice is flat, dismissive. Naomi holds up her phone, confirmation email clear and bright. "I'm Naomi Sterling. I chartered this flight yesterday." Webb doesn't look at the screen. "I don't know anything about that." "Then check your manifest." Her voice is professional, controlled. Webb crosses his arms. "Ma'am, I've been flying 30 years. I know who can afford this jet." The words land like a slap. Naomi's jaw tightens. She scrolls through her phone, pulls up the payment receipt, her corporate credentials, even her Forbes magazine cover from last year. She holds each one up like evidence at trial. Webb waves his hand dismissively. Anyone can fake documents these days. A white businessman in jeans and a polo shirt approaches another jet 20 feet away. No one stops him. No one asks for identification. He boards without a glance. Naomi's voice sharpens. "I own a multi-billion-dollar company. This is my charter. Check your system." Webb actually laughs. "Sure you do, sweetheart." He gestures to a security guard lingering near the hangar. The guard approaches reluctantly, radio crackling at his hip. "Escort this woman to the terminal," Webb says. She's confused about which aircraft she's supposed to board. The security guard looks uncomfortable. His eyes dart between Naomi's designer briefcase and Webb's confident authority. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to come with me." Naomi doesn't move. "I paid $47,000 for this flight. I have every legal right to board." Webb turns his back, walks up the stairs. "Security will handle it." The guard touches Naomi's elbow gently. "Please, ma'am." She pulls away, but she's already lost. Other passengers near adjacent hangars watch the scene unfold. Some pull out phones. Others look away quickly, embarrassed witnesses to humiliation. Naomi walks toward the terminal, spine straight, head high. Behind her, the Gulfstream's door closes with a hydraulic hiss. The engines spool up. Her briefcase still sits on the tarmac where she set it down. The jet taxis away, empty except for crew. Naomi stands alone in the terminal window, watching it disappear into the sky. Her reflection in the glass shows something, shifting in her expression, from shock to something colder, more calculated. Her phone buzzes. Seattle board meeting, 4 hours. She opens her contacts and makes a call. 18 hours earlier, Naomi's corner office overlooked the city like a throne room. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the skyline. Her desk held 3 monitors, a leather portfolio, and a framed photo of her daughter, Maya, age 9, gap-toothed and laughing. Sterling Tech occupied 4 floors of the building, 2,300 employees, $2.3 billion in valuation, all built from a single app she coded in her college dorm room. She reviewed acquisition documents for the Seattle meeting. Tech Vision Systems, a Seattle-based AI firm worth $800 million. If the deal closed, Sterling Tech would triple in value overnight. Her assistant, Rachel, knocked softly. "Your charter's confirmed for tomorrow morning. 6 a.m. departure. Direct to Seattle. 2 hours flight time. You'll land at 8, meeting at 10, plenty of buffer. Naomi nodded. She'd flown private dozens of times. When you run a company worth billions, commercial airlines become impossible. Too public, too slow, too many delays. Time was money, and her time was expensive. She closed the acquisition file and picked up Maya's photo. Single mother, by choice and by circumstance. Maya's father had left before the pregnancy test dried. Naomi raised her daughter the way her own mother raised her, with fierce love and fiercer expectations. Her mother, Grace, had cleaned office buildings at night while Naomi slept in break rooms, doing homework under fluorescent lights. Grace never finished high school, but she bought Naomi her first computer from a pawn shop when she was 12. "You're smarter than anyone I've ever met," Grace had said. "Don't let this world convince you otherwise." Naomi coded her first app at 16, sold it at 19 for $3 million, invested every penny into sterling tech. She was on Forbes's 30 under 30 list a decade ago. Now she was on their cover. The world still doubted her at every turn. She'd learned to carry documentation everywhere, receipts, credentials, proof of purchase. Being brilliant wasn't enough. Being successful wasn't enough. She had to be bulletproof. Tomorrow's flight was just transportation, a necessary step between one triumph and the next. She had no idea it would become a battlefield. Back on the tarmac, humiliation burns hotter than the morning sun. The security guard shifts uncomfortably, radio crackling with chatter from other terminals. "Ma'am, I'm sure we can sort this out inside," he says quietly. Naomi keeps her voice level, but there's steel underneath. "Sort what out? I have a confirmed charter. I have payment receipts. I have corporate identification." Marcus Webb descends the stairs slowly, like a king addressing peasants. "Look, I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but this aircraft is reserved for legitimate clients. I am a legitimate client. Then why isn't your name on my manifest?" Naomi's eyes narrow. "Show me the manifest." Webb hesitates, just for a second. Long enough for her to know. "That's confidential," he says. "Confidential from the person who chartered the plane. A small crowd has gathered now. 2 other pilots, a maintenance worker. They watch like spectators at an accident, unable to look away." Naomi scrolls through her phone again, pulls up her company website. Sterling Tech's homepage fills the screen, her face prominent in the leadership section. CEO and founder. She turns the phone toward Webb. "This is me. This is my company. I can buy this jet outright if I wanted to." Webb glances at the screen, then at her, then back at the screen. Something flickers across his face. Uncertainty, maybe recognition, but pride stamps it down. "Anyone can build a website," he says. The maintenance worker winces. One of the pilots looks away. Naomi's voice drops to something dangerous. "Call your home office. Call the charter company. Confirm my reservation. I'll wait." Webb's jaw tightens. "I don't take orders from you. You take money from me. $47,000. If that's true, which I doubt, we'll issue a refund." "I don't want a refund. I want to board the flight I paid for." The security guard's radio crackles again. A voice asks for a status update. The guard lifts the radio to his mouth, hesitates, then says, "Subject is refusing to comply. Need backup?" "No backup needed," Naomi says sharply. "I'm not a subject, I'm a customer." Webb turns to the guard. "Escort her inside. If she resists, call the police." The word police hangs in the air like a threat. Naomi knows what happens next. She's seen the videos. She's lived the statistics. She forces herself to breathe. "This is discrimination. You're removing me because of my race." "I'm removing you because you don't belong on this aircraft," Webb says. The words are careful, practiced, but the meaning is clear. Naomi looks directly at the maintenance worker. "You're witnessing this, right? You see what's happening?" The man looks down at his tools. She looks at the pilots. "Anyone?" They turn away. The security guard touches her elbow again, firmer this time. "Ma'am, please." Naomi walks, not because she has to, but because she knows how this ends if she doesn't. She walks with her head high, briefcase forgotten on the tarmac, phone clutched in her hand. Behind her, Marcus Webb boards the Gulf Stream. The door closes. The engines roar to life. She watches from the terminal window as the jet taxis to the runway, turns, and accelerates into the sky. Empty. $47,000 worth of empty air. Her phone buzzes. The Seattle meeting, the acquisition, the deal that would change everything. 4 hours. She opens her contacts and calls Rachel. Her voice is ice over fire. "I need the file on Skybridge Aviation." All of it. 10 minutes. In the private terminal bathroom, Naomi grips the marble sink. Her reflection stares back, ivory blazer still crisp, gold watch still gleaming, expression still composed. But her hands shake. She releases the sink and flexes her fingers. The tremor stops. This isn't the first time, it's not even the 10th, but she's been powerful long enough to believe it would stop. Money was supposed to be armor. Success was supposed to be shield. She built an empire specifically to avoid moments like this. And yet, she thinks of her mother, scrubbing toilets in buildings she'd never be allowed to own. She thinks of her daughter, 9 years old and brilliant, who will one day walk into rooms and be dismissed before she speaks. The anger is familiar. It's the fuel she's run on for 20 years, but underneath it something else, a deeper cut. She was removed like cargo, like she didn't belong in spaces she literally purchased. Her phone buzzes. "Rachel, file incoming. Are you okay?" Naomi types back, "No." "But I will be." She splashes cold water on her face, careful not to smudge her makeup. In the mirror, she watches herself reassemble, shoulders back, jaw set, eyes hard. She's built a fortune by being smarter than everyone who underestimated her. Today will be no different. Except today, someone will learn what it costs to humiliate Naomi Sterling. She walks out of the bathroom, phone in hand, and finds a quiet corner of the terminal. Her email loads. Rachel's file appears, a comprehensive dossier on Skybridge Aviation. Naomi opens it and begins to read. Her expression doesn't change, but her eyes, cold and calculating, begin to burn with something else entirely. Purpose. Naomi's rise was never gentle. She learned early that the world doesn't give, it takes, and you have to take it back. Grace Sterling raised her daughter in a one-bedroom apartment where the heat didn't work, and the neighbors were louder than the sirens. She worked 3 jobs. Naomi wore thrift store clothes and brought bagged lunches to school, but Grace bought that pawn shop computer. And Naomi learned to code like other kids learn to breathe. At 16, she built an app that organized study groups. At 19, she sold it to an education company for $3 million. The investors, middle-aged white men in expensive suits, tried to lowball her. She walked out twice before they met her price. She used every penny to launch Sterling Tech, cloud-based project management software, elegant and intuitive. She coded for 18 hours a day, slept in her office, pitched to investors who asked if she had a real CEO to front the company. She fired the first investor who suggested it. Harold Chen, a 70-year-old venture capitalist, was the only one who believed in her. He wrote the first check, $5 million, and gave her advice that shaped everything. "They'll never give you respect," he said. "Make them need you instead." She built Sterling Tech into something undeniable. 2,000 employees, contracts with Fortune 500 companies, revenue that doubled every year. She learned to document everything, every contract, every payment, every interaction, because in rooms full of people who looked nothing like her, proof was the only currency that mattered. Harold died 2 years ago, heart attack in his sleep. At the funeral, Naomi promised his memory she'd never stop fighting. And she never forgot his other lesson. Know your enemies before they know you. Skybridge Aviation. She'd heard the name before. A mid-sized charter company, family-owned, with a reputation for exclusive clientele. Her legal team used them for executive transport sometimes. She opens Rachel's file and reads deeper. Skybridge was founded 30 years ago by the Webb family, Marcus Webb and his younger brother Daniel, co-owners. Marcus handles operations and piloting. Daniel manages business development. The company's finances tell a darker story. 2 years of declining revenue, $18 million in debt, surviving on legacy contracts and reputation alone. One of those contracts, Sterling Tech, $4.2 million annually for executive charter services. Naomi's signature is on the renewal form, due for approval next week. Her hand hovers over her phone. One signature, one refusal. That's all it would take. She keeps reading. Daniel Webb's name appears in news articles from last year, a donation to civil rights organizations, a public statement opposing discriminatory practices in aviation. A different man than his brother, trying to modernize a company trapped in the past. But Marcus Webb is the face of Skybridge, the chief pilot, the one who greets clients, the one who removed her from a plane she paid for. Naomi closes the file. She knows exactly what she's going to do, and 20 minutes from now Marcus Webb will know it too. Rachel calls. I have more information. Are you sure you want it? All of it, Naomi says. Skybridge owes $18 million to creditors. They have 3 major contracts keeping them afloat. Yours is the biggest. If they lose Sterling Tech, they default within 30 days. The banks will liquidate everything. Naomi's voice is calm. What else? Marcus Webb owns 51%. Daniel owns 49%. Marcus has operational control, but Daniel's been trying to push him out for years. There's a clause in their partnership agreement. If the company faces bankruptcy due to operational misconduct, Daniel can force a buyout for $1. Operational misconduct. Discrimination would qualify. Naomi feels the pieces clicking into place. Marcus Webb didn't just insult her. He handed her the weapon to destroy him. She pulls up the charter contract on her phone. Clause 17B, grounds for immediate termination. Discriminatory conduct by service provider toward client based on protected class status. Her fingers hover over the keyboard. She could walk away. Book another flight. Close the Seattle deal. Pretend this morning never happened. That's what the world expects. For her to absorb the insult, move forward, stay professional. But she thinks of her mother, scrubbing floors. She thinks of her daughter, learning that silence is survival. She thinks of every black woman who paid for a service and was treated like she stole it. She opens her email and begins typing. To Sterling Tech Legal Department. Subject: immediate. Contract termination. Skybridge Aviation. The email is precise, professional, devastating. It outlines the incident in factual detail. It cites Clause 17B. It demands immediate contract termination and invokes the penalty clause for breach, full payment of remaining contract value, plus damages, $4.2 million, gone. But Naomi doesn't stop there. She attaches photos of her boarding pass, payment receipt, and Marcus Webb's pilot license pulled from public FAA records. She includes witness information, the security guard, the maintenance worker, the other pilots. She copies the email to her board of directors, her legal counsel, and her PR team. Then she adds one more recipient, Daniel Webb, Skybridge Aviation co-owner. His email is listed in the company directory. Her cursor hovers over Send. This will destroy them. Not just Marcus, the whole company. Dozens of employees, mechanics, pilots, administrative staff, people who had nothing to do with this morning's humiliation, but they also had everything to do with it. They stood there. They watched. No one said a word. Naomi clicks send. The email disappears into the digital void. 3 seconds later, her phone rings. It's her head of legal. Naomi, are you sure about this? Absolutely certain. Skybridge will fold. You know that, right? I know. There's a pause. Okay, we'll execute immediately. Naomi hangs up. She books a commercial flight to Seattle, first class, departing in 90 minutes. She'll make the meeting. She'll close the deal, and by the time she lands, Marcus Webb's world will be ashes. Her phone buzzes. An email notification. She opens it. From Daniel Webb. Subject, immediate contract termination. The message is brief. Mr. Sterling, I just saw what happened. I am horrified and ashamed. My brother's actions do not represent our company's values, but they happened under our name, so they are our responsibility. I won't ask for mercy we don't deserve. I will personally ensure every employee affected is taken care of. I'm sorry this happened to you. Naomi reads it twice. Then she closes her phone and walks toward her gate. Behind her, in an office, 200 miles away, Marcus Webb's phone begins to ring. Marcus Webb lands the Gulf Stream in Seattle, feeling righteous. He handled a situation, protected the integrity of his fleet, kept the standards high. He texts Daniel from the pilot's lounge. Handled a situation today, kept the wrong element off our jet. The message shows as read. No response. Marcus orders coffee, scrolls through his phone. 30 years in aviation, and he knows his business. You don't let just anyone onto a $50 million aircraft. Standards matter. His email chimes. Subject line, contract termination, Sterling Tech. His coffee cup freezes halfway to his lips. He opens the email. The words blur together at first, then sharpen into something terrible. Immediate termination. Clause 17B. Discriminatory conduct. Payment of remaining contract value plus damages. $4.2 million. His hands start shaking. He scrolls down. Photos attached. The woman from this morning, her payment receipts, witness statements. The email is copied to Sterling Tech's entire legal department and to Daniel. Marcus dials his brother with trembling fingers. It rings 4 times before Daniel answers. What did you do? Daniel's voice is ice. It was a security issue. You removed Naomi Sterling from a chartered flight. The Naomi Sterling. Marcus's stomach drops. I didn't know. You didn't check. You saw a black woman and assumed she couldn't afford our services. Jesus Christ, Marcus. She didn't have proper documentation. She had everything. I'm looking at the file right now. Payment receipt, confirmation number, corporate credentials. You didn't even look at her phone. Marcus tries to speak, but Daniel cuts him off. Do you know what you've done? Sterling Tech is our biggest contract. Without them, we default on everything. The banks, the creditors. We're finished. We can fix this. I'll apologize. You humiliated a billionaire CEO on a tarmac in front of witnesses. This isn't something you fix with an apology. Marcus's lawyer is already calling on the other line. He ignores it. Daniel, listen. No. You listen. I've spent 2 years trying to modernize this company, trying to move us into the 21st century. And you just destroyed everything because you couldn't see past your own bigotry. The line goes dead. Marcus sits alone in the pilot's lounge, surrounded by other pilots who pretend not to notice. His phone buzzes with messages from creditors, lawyers, board members. He Googles Naomi Sterling, page after page of achievements. Forbes covers, TED Talks with millions of views. A self-made billionaire who built her company from nothing, and he treated her like a criminal. His phone buzzes again. The bank. He doesn't answer. That evening, Marcus drives to Skybridge headquarters. The parking lot is nearly empty, just Daniel's car under the flickering lot lights. Inside, the office is dark except for the conference room. Daniel sits at the head of the table. surrounded by financial statements, legal documents, and a half-empty bottle of scotch. He doesn't look up when Marcus enters. "We're done," Daniel says quietly. "The bank's called 2 hours ago. Without Sterling Tech, we default on our loans. Liquidation starts Monday." Marcus slumps into a chair. "There has to be something." "There's nothing. I ran the numbers 12 different ways. We're 18 million in debt. Our other 2 contracts won't cover it. We have 60 days before they auction off the jets." "What about our savings? The emergency fund?" Daniel laughs bitterly. "That'll cover maybe 6 months of severance for the employees, the people who are losing their jobs because of what you did." Marcus tries to defend himself, but the words die in his throat. He sees it now, the maintenance crews, the administrative staff, the junior pilots, 37 employees gone. "I called everyone personally," Daniel continues, "told them what happened, told them it was your fault. Some of them cried. One, Guy Rodriguez, you remember him? Mechanic for 15 years, he just hung up. I'm sorry." Sorry doesn't pay mortgages. Daniel pours another drink. His hands are steady, but his eyes are hollow. "You know what the worst part is? I saw this coming. I've been watching you for years, Marcus. The comments, the assumptions, the way you treat clients who don't look like you. That's not fair. It's completely fair. You think I didn't notice. You think the staff didn't notice. We all saw it. We all knew. And I didn't stop you because you're my brother and I'm a coward." Daniel finally looks at Marcus. "Get out! Daniel, get out!" Marcus stands slowly. His pilot's uniform suddenly feels like a costume. He walks to the door, pauses. "I didn't mean for this to happen." "That's the problem," Daniel says. "You never do." Marcus leaves the office. The hallway is lined with photos, 30 years of Skybridge history. His father's first jet, Daniel's first solo flight, award ceremonies and celebrations, all of it ending because he couldn't see past his own prejudice. Outside, his phone buzzes. A message from an unknown number. "Actions have consequences. NS." He looks up. Across the street, a billboard advertises Sterling Tech. Naomi's face, 3 stories tall, smiling and untouchable. Marcus gets in his car and drives home to an empty house. Marcus sits alone in his apartment, surrounded by decades of aviation awards, plaques for safety, certificates for flight hours, photos of him shaking hands with politicians, celebrities, corporate executives. All of it meaningless now. His phone is silent. No calls from colleagues, no messages from friends in the industry. Word spreads fast in aviation. He's radioactive now. The pilot who torpedoed his own company through racism. His wife left a note on the kitchen counter before taking the kids to her mother's house. "I can't look at you right now." The Skybridge hangar keys sit next to the note. He pours a drink and stares at those keys. His entire identity, pilot, business owner, legacy protector, evaporating like contrails in clear sky. For the first time, he lets himself replay the moment. Really replay it. Naomi's face when he dismissed her documentation, the dignity she maintained, the warning signs he ignored. He opens his laptop and searches her name again. This time, he watches. A TED Talk where she discusses growing up poor, building Sterling Tech from nothing, facing discrimination at every level. "They told me I didn't belong in boardrooms," she says in the video. "So I bought the building." The audience laughs. Marcus doesn't. He was so certain this morning, so righteous. He saw a black woman approaching his jet, and his brain filled in. A story. She must be confused. She must be lying. She couldn't possibly afford this. He never even looked at her payment receipt. His phone buzzes. His lawyer. Chapter 11 filing prepared. Need your signature by Friday. Marcus sets the phone down, picks up the Skybridge keys. 30 years of his life reduced to metal and plastic. He thinks about calling Naomi, apologizing, begging for mercy, but he knows what she'd say. He knows what he'd say if their positions were reversed. Actions have consequences. Naomi sits in the Seattle boardroom, closing the TechVision acquisition. $800 million. Her company now worth $6 billion. The board applauds. Champagne appears. She smiles, shakes hands, accepts congratulations. Her phone buzzes during the celebration. A news alert. Skybridge Aviation files for bankruptcy protection. She excuses herself to the hallway and reads the article. Chapter 11, Filing. Liquidation proceedings. 37 employees affected. The Webb brothers declined to comment. She feels no triumph. Just exhaustion. Rachel calls. Skybridge filed an hour ago. Marcus Webb requested a meeting with you. I told him no. Good. There's something else. A letter arrived at the office. Handwritten, from Daniel Webb. Read it to me. Rachel's voice softens. He apologizes for his brother's actions. Says he understands what we did and why. Doesn't ask for mercy. Just says he's sorry it happened and he'll make sure the employees are taken care of somehow. Naomi closes her eyes. Daniel Webb, the brother trying to modernize a dying company. The one who donated to civil rights organizations. The one who saw the problem but couldn't fix it in time. He attached something else, Rachel continues. Financial statements showing he's selling his house to fund employee severance. He's giving them everything he has. Naomi stands at the window, looking down at Seattle's skyline. 40 stories below. People move like ants through their lives, carrying their own struggles and mistakes. She thinks of Harold's advice. Make them need you, but she also thinks of her mother. Don't become what hurt you. Rachel, get me the full financial picture on Skybridge. Assets, debts, employee contracts, everything. You're not thinking, I'm thinking. I'll call you back. Naomi hangs up and stares at her reflection in the window. Power without accountability is violence. But accountability without transformation is just revenge. She makes a decision. 1 week later, Naomi stands at a podium in Sterling Tech's main conference room. Cameras flash. Reporters crowd the front row. Daniel Webb stands at the back, looking haunted and confused. Good afternoon, Naomi begins. Her voice is clear, authoritative. I'm here to announce that Sterling Tech is acquiring the assets of Skybridge Aviation. The room erupts. Reporters shout over each other. Cameras swivel. Daniel's face goes pale. Naomi waits for silence, then continues. We will rebuild the company under new leadership with a focus on diversity, equity, and accountability. Former co-owner Daniel Webb will serve as Chief Operating Officer. More chaos. Daniel staggers slightly, gripping a chair. Marcus Webb will not be part of this organization, Naomi says. Her tone leaves no room for debate. His actions represent everything we stand against. A reporter stands. Ms. Sterling, is this revenge? Naomi's gaze is steady. No, it's consequences. And it's opportunity. She holds up the charter receipt from that morning. The paper trembles slightly in her hand. I paid $47,000 to be humiliated on a tarmac. I was removed from an aircraft I legally chartered because the pilot couldn't believe a black woman could afford his services. The room goes silent. Skybridge's employees, mechanics, pilots, administrative staff, shouldn't lose their livelihoods because of one man's bigotry. But that man will not profit from their work or our investment. Another reporter. How much are you investing? $20 million. We'll modernize the fleet, expand services, and implement comprehensive bias training for all staff. We'll also establish a scholarship fund for aspiring black pilots and aviation professionals. A third reporter. What about Marcus Webb? Mr. Webb is free to seek employment elsewhere. He will not work for any Sterling Tech subsidiary. Ever. Naomi sets down the receipt and picks up a document. This is Skybridge's new mission statement. Every passenger deserves dignity, regardless of who they are or what they look like. That's not revolutionary. It's basic human decency. But apparently it needed to be said. She looks directly at the cameras. This isn't about punishing Marcus Webb. It's about ensuring no one else experiences what I did. It's about changing the systems that protect people like him until their bigotry becomes too expensive to ignore. Daniel Webb steps forward, tears streaming down his face. Ms. Sterling, I don't know what to say. Say you'll build something better, Naomi interrupts. Say you'll hire differently, train differently, lead differently. Say you'll make sure that hangar is a place where everyone belongs. Daniel nods, unable to speak. Naomi turns back to the cameras. Power isn't about revenge. It's about accountability. Marcus Webb destroyed his company the moment he decided my skin color determined my worth. I simply refused to subsidize his bigotry with my money and my silence. She pauses, letting the words land. Skybridge Aviation is flying again, better than before. Marcus Webb is not. That's not tragedy. That's accountability. The press conference ends. Daniel approaches Naomi as reporters file out. Why? He asks. Why save the company after what Marcus did? Naomi looks at him. Because 37 people didn't remove me from that plane. One person did, and I don't believe in collective punishment. I'll spend every day proving you made the right choice. I know you will. That's why I made it. She walks out, leaving Daniel standing in the empty conference room, staring at the Skybridge logo projected on the screen, a logo that now belongs to Sterling Tech. 3 months later, Naomi visits the Skybridge hangar. The same hangar where she was removed. The changes are subtle but everywhere. New diversity posters on the walls. A conference room named after Harold Chen. The staff is different too. More women, more people of color. Younger faces mixed with experienced crews. Daniel greets her personally. We implemented bias training for everyone. New hiring protocols. Anonymous complaint systems. It's a different company now. Good, Naomi says. She walks through the hangar, past the mechanics working on engines, past the pilots reviewing flight plans. Some of them recognize her. They nod respectfully. The Gulfstream G650 sits in its bay, polished and perfect. The same aircraft from that morning. Naomi climbs the stairs and sits in the same seat she was denied. The leather is soft. The cabin smells like leather and coffee. Daniel appears at the door. We're ready when you are, Ms. Sterling. Where's the pilot? Captain Morrison. She's been with us 3 weeks. Former Air Force, 15 years experience. A black woman in her 40s enters the cockpit, waves to Naomi through the open door. Naomi waves back. The engines hum to life. The jet taxis smoothly. As they lift off, Naomi looks out the window at the city shrinking below. She didn't do this for revenge. She did it because power without accountability is violence. Because 37 families deserved better. Because her daughter will inherit a world where she belongs everywhere she has the right to be. The jet climbs through clouds into brilliant sunshine. Below, somewhere in the city, Marcus Webb drives for a rideshare company. He'll never pilot again. No airline will touch him after what he did. His wife filed for divorce. His kids barely speak to him. Naomi doesn't think about him anymore. She thinks about the future. About the scholarship students who'll train at Skybridge. About the mechanics and pilots who kept their jobs. About the next black CEO who books a charter and boards without question. That's the world worth building. Later, in her office, Naomi records a voice note for a podcast interview. People ask if I went too far, she says. If destroying a man's career was justice or cruelty, here's what I know. I didn't destroy his career. He did. The moment he decided my skin color determined my worth. She pauses, choosing her words carefully. I simply refused to subsidize his bigotry with my money and my silence. Real power isn't about revenge. It's about changing the systems that protect people like him. Skybridge is flying again, better than before. Marcus Webb is not. That's not tragedy. That's accountability. Outside her window, the sun sets over the city. Golden light paints everything warm. My daughter will grow up in a world where she belongs everywhere she has the right to be. Not because people suddenly respect her, But because the cost of disrespecting her is too high, she closes her laptop. On her desk, Maya's photo smiles up at her, gap-toothed and fearless. Naomi picks up the photo, traces her daughter's face with one finger. You're going to change this world, baby girl. Just like your grandmother did. Just like I'm doing. She sets the photo down and looks at the city lights flickering to life in the dusk. Somewhere out there, another black woman is boarding a flight. Maybe she has doubts. Maybe she's carrying documentation like armor. Maybe she's bracing for humiliation, but at Skybridge Aviation she'll board without question. Because one morning, Naomi Sterling paid $47,000 for a lesson the world needed to learn. Actions have consequences, and so does justice.